Here coming back to you all with a quick live stream for our part 6 in our series titled Things That I Wish I Knew When I Started My Pest Control Business. For those of you that are new and going to be tuning in for the first time, either live or after this live, uploads into like a video. I'm the owner of Preferred Pest Management. Of course, most of you know by now, but again, this is for like anyone that's new to me, because I know we have a lot of new people, finding the channel every single day. We've been in business for about 3 years now. Before that, I worked for a big company, Terminex, for a few years as well. So been in the industry now for about 5 to not 10, but between 5 to 10 years now. And we've been in business now for about 3 years. And on this channel, we just talk about, my journey. I document everything for you guys. We do a lot of, sharing the computer screen, showing you guys the back end of like how we do stuff on our website, how we, do our marketing, how we get customers, how we just, start and grow the business essentially. Because I know there's not a lot of businesses out there that are specifically the owners that are willing to dedicate any time whatsoever to just teach the next up and coming owners. It's like everybody, one, thinks they're too busy when in reality they're not, or B, they think by giving away their secrets that they're like gonna go out of business, limiting mindset, of course. So if you're new, we'd love to have you, join our community of, if you're owning a business already and just looking to grow it, we got plenty of stuff for you on that. Or if you're looking to start your pest control business specifically, but not just pest control, if you're looking to start any type of like trade business, service business, you'll probably get some value in this channel, as well as a lot of the stuff kind of, goes together. But subscribe, join our groups. They're all free, of course, all that good stuff. And with that, we'll go ahead and get into, we're already in part 6. It's crazy. I was trying to keep this to like a 5-part series, but I made the videos a little bit shorter. It seems like that's resonating with a lot of you all. A lot of you all are watching the whole thing, I've noticed. So trying to keep them fairly short, around 10 minutes or less roughly. Part 6, what we're going to be talking about today, if you read the description, is not being afraid of failure. So what does it mean to not be afraid of failure, specifically when we're talking about, growing, or even starting your pest control business? Well, not being afraid of failure, one, is probably the biggest obstacle, in my opinion, you're going to face when it comes to just getting over the hump of actually starting your business. I know for me, it literally took me being quote unquote fired to actually start my business. I wanted to start my business back in like 2019 roughly, and surprise, surprise, when you have sex, babies can happen. And we had our first newborn out of nowhere, and that, kind of changed my whole mindset. I started to be a little bit more timid, scarcity mindset. I knew I was still going to start my business, but every year that came and went, I was like, well, I just need to get X amount of more dollars, and I need to get this right. And man, do I really want to quit because now I have a kid and I need the insurance, this and that and the other. It just, I had to get over that limiting mindset and the worry of failing. And like I said, it was a blessing in disguise that, they essentially kicked me out the door. Because who knows if I even would have gotten over that. So I know for most of you, when it comes to starting your pest control business, in terms of not being afraid of failure, you're going to have to literally just kind of jump off in the deep end, sink or swim, so to speak, and just pull the trigger and have the confidence in yourself that, I've done hours of research, because I'm sure most of you have. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be watching this channel, let's be real. You can only do so much research before you just have to go apply the shit at the end of the day and, put it to test. How I kind of word it to everybody now, because I have a lot of people that I still keep in touch with who they're in a pest control business, they're working for one of the big national companies, and Even guys that, you just see at the gas station, this and that and the other, whatever the case may be, and they'll be like, man, like, I could never do that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you can never do that? Like, think about it, dude. Go on Indeed tonight and look at how many pest control jobs there are out there. It's not to say that you could literally just, at the drop of a dime, get a job in the industry again, but job positions will always be available at the end of the day. So it's like, what's the worst case scenario? You go out and you try, you fail, and you have to, go back and work for another company. Like, who cares? Like, I mean, that's not the worst thing that could happen. Let's be real. So, and the other thing is just think how much easier it would be to get a job, worst case scenario. Because, now you have a certified applicator license, which is hard to come by for a lot of companies in terms of, hiring somebody that's already trained, has, legit business experience. Now, like, you're not going to be up for just a technician job, but even maybe a service manager, branch manager, who knows how high up potentially, you're going to be way more valuable. Let's put it that way. But that's not our goal, obviously. That's just, if you're on the fence, that's my little 2-3 minute pitch on why you need to go ahead and get off the fence and just jump into the deep end. Get your certified applicator license and jump on in and do it. That's first and foremost when it comes to getting over your fear. Now, for those of you that are already in business, I know there's a lot of you as well who, you're like me, you're probably a solopreneur, you might have a, 1 or 2 employees or a 1099 guy, you're still relatively small, right? You're just getting started, you're looking to really grow. When it comes to being afraid of failure from this standpoint, sometimes it's a combination of being afraid to fail along with complacency. And I might even do a whole video on complacency and how you need to avoid it like the plague when it comes to your business. But for now, we're sticking on, the failure aspect specifically. So when it comes to, you have your business, you're doing, we'll just say minimum 50 to 100,000 a year roughly. You're starting to kind of get the ball rolling. You're actually starting to see some profit, all that type of stuff. It can be very easy to start to, you start to make some money and you start to get fearful. The more money you make, the more fearful you can get if you're not careful, because now you're like, oh shit, like I got something I can lose here. Like I don't want to lose it. And obviously I'm not saying be reckless. You want to make sure you have everything in place, that you have your LLC lined up. William Brown, how's it going? Watching from the UK. Oh, awesome. Yeah, we got the UK in the house. What time is it out there? Probably, like 4 in the afternoon or something like that? Awesome. Going worldwide, apparently. I love the internet, man. It's crazy how you can connect with everybody. But back to what we were talking about with fear, the more, even with me, like I've noticed now, it's not so bad with me because, for probably 7 or 8 years now, I've been just filling my head full of this information from, I don't really take quote unquote advice from even people like myself who are like in the journey per se, but like I'm always looking at like the guys who are like billionaires or pretty close to billionaires, like they're worth, hundreds of millions of dollars or more, and I've just been beating myself over the head with their information, what they're saying, and the common theme is that, the more money that you're going to make in your business, the more fearful you're going to get, and you're going to have to learn how to face that fear head on and not be afraid to pull the trigger on bigger projects, bigger marketing projects, bigger, maybe door knocking. We don't do door knocking right now. I don't really like it personally, but I always say never when it comes to business. How's it going, Aaron? Started pest control courses 2 weeks ago. Oops, your comment went away. Crap. That's the only thing I hate about doing live streams on my phone. The comments go away. I started pest control courses 2 weeks ago, planning to start a side hustle pest control business while keeping 9 to 5. If you're able to do that, I'm guessing you're probably gonna like do it on the weekends or maybe some evening hour type of stuff. That's even a better scenario. Personally, I'm more of a let's go balls balls deep and jump off in the deep end, sink or swim type. But everybody's situation is different too. Like, I'm not gonna be like my way is the only way to do it per se, but no, grow that thing now, and then once you get to the point where you just don't have enough time in a day, then all right, let's do it. Like, I have my proof of because that's another thing too when it comes to fear versus using your common sense and stuff, right? What your gut's telling you. I always tell people too when it comes to taking these bigger risks and stuff. I'm like, well, do you have a proof of concept? Well, what do you mean by proof of concept? Like, well, is there a way that you can kind of get your feet wet to a certain degree? For example, I have a cousin in the Midwest who owns his own pest control company too, and he recently expanded into like lawn care. Like, he got a lawn and ornamental license, he got a bunch of equipment, he actually hired an employee, all this good stuff. And early on, like, he was very hesitant, again, trying to get over that fear. And he was asking me, well, what would you do? What would you do? This and that. And I was like, dude, I don't know. I was like, I'm not in the lawn care business. I have no experience hardly in the lawn care business. I was like, you're going to have some sort of proof of concept. I was like, maybe just throw out an ad or something to see if anyone's going to bite on the lawn care side of things. Or maybe just get some cheaper equipment early on. Like, so it's not a bad idea to have proof of concept, but don't get so caught up in paralysis of analysis that like you're not gonna make a move. Fear can literally destroy a business, and not just destroy a business, but destroy your life if you're not careful. Because let's be real, if you're fearing a bunch of things, be it in your business, in your life, whatever the case may be, fear is also going to cause stress. And obviously all of us know that stress can, cause some major issues. Let's see, Aaron said something else. Congratulations on baby. Oh, I appreciate it. 2 toddlers. Yeah, so you know exactly how it is. Want to eventually expand the business where I can have financial freedom. Exactly. Yeah, and like I keep telling everybody, I'm like, the pest control business is just the tool. Like, I tell everybody, they're like, well, what? Like, even customers, right? I'm sure a lot of you get this, like, so what made you get in the bug business of all things? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, one, it's relatively easy to get into, and two, you can make a shit ton of money if you know what you're doing and, do everything right. I tell people that I'm closer with, I'm like, look, this is just a tool at the end of the day. Like, I don't love messing with bugs. I don't love going out and doing this. Now, if you do actually enjoy it, then like, awesome, more power to you. In all honesty, you'll probably even do better than someone like me who's using it for what it is, which is a tool to achieve financial freedom. But like, literally, I'm using it as a tool. I do have an exit plan. Now, does that mean I'm going to sell my business for sure? No, but there's a better chance than not that someday I'll probably end up selling. I have a number set in mind. That number may change. Things always change year to year. But yeah, no, it's an amazing type of business to get into, relatively low cost. And that's the thing when it comes to getting over fear, back on our point of this video in terms of being mindful of getting over, one, how do you get over fear too? Because that's a lot of things, I don't know about you guys, I hate when I'm watching, a YouTube video or listening to podcasts, whatever the case may be, and someone's just telling me, get over this, get over that, do this, but it's like, okay, but like, how? How do I know when I'm getting fearful? How do I attack it head on? So I'll go over that briefly with you all. Like, just based on, again, my experiences might be different for you all. But when it comes to getting over fear, for me, in terms of, it's kind of like a 2 to 3 step process. And by the way, if you're liking the stream, hit that thumbs up button. I greatly appreciate it. Or, if you're not, hit the thumbs down. But it's kind of like a 2 to 3 part process in terms of getting over fear. So one is, of course, realizing, confronting the beast, realizing that, hey, I'm nervous, I'm kind of fearful, whatever word you want to use for fear, just confront it up front that, hey, this doesn't feel too good to me. And please do not use the BS excuse about, I hate when people are always like, well, my gut's telling me this, my gut's telling me that. If you use your gut as your main instinct, you're going to be broke. Now, it's one thing to use your wife's gut. Her gut, for some reason, is almost always right, it seems. And whenever it comes down to it, sometimes I'll even go to the wife and be like, hey, what do you think about doing? And before I can get sense out, no, that's stupid. No, I can tell that's a horrible idea. Okay, scratch. But no, I mean, when it comes to running your business, investing, whatever the case may be, confronting it head on, realizing that yes, I'm uncertain about this, I'm nervous, I need to get some kind of proof of concept, just realizing first and foremost that you are fearful is a great step, because a lot of people will just kind of, they'll avoid it essentially. They don't like the feeling, in this society we live in, I could go on a whole 30-minute rant about just how our society is, the feel-good society. Like, if it doesn't make you feel good, then, just don't do it. And it's like, no, that's the worst type of advice anyone could give. Because, let's be real, if you're not willing to attack your fears and the unknown head on, then how do you expect to grow? Let's be real, not just in business, but in life. Like, if you're not willing to do the uncomfortable, address the uncomfortable, whatever the case may be, how do you expect to grow in this life, in this business? That's the first part in terms of getting over fear, is just, confronting the beast at the end of the day, admitting that, this is uncertainty, this is, freaking you out, whatever the case may be. Step number 2 is, addressing the why. Like, what is it that is making you fearful? Like, we were kind of hitting on a little bit there with step 1 in terms of attacking fear. Addressing the why, kind of like 1B more than 2, why am I fearful? Is it because, again, I'm uncertain about this, or is it because I'm ignorant on a certain subject like marketing or door-to-door or financing or leasing versus owning a vehicle, like whatever, business credit versus personal, LLC, corp, like there's so many different things that like you could be ignorant on. There's things every day that, and again, to be clear, to be ignorant doesn't mean you're stupid, doesn't mean you're a dumbass. Like, a lot of people throw these words around anymore, like you can tell people just didn't do very good in English class, because the word ignorance, if you don't know, just simply means that you don't know, like you don't have knowledge on a certain subject. So when I say, for example, I'm ignorant on the door-to-door game, I'm not saying that I'm a dumbass. I'm just saying that, hey, I don't have no experience outside of me, myself, knocking on a few doors to say that I'm knowledgeable on door-to-door. Therefore, if we ever decide to hop into the door-to-door space in terms of hiring a company, there's going to be some uncertainty. There's going to be some doubts. There's going to be some fear. Again, attack it, acknowledge it, or not attack it, acknowledge it, and then figure out the why. So that's your first 2 parts in terms of attacking the fear. Pretty basic stuff, right? Now we figure out, how can I get over this fear? This is the secret sauce, quote unquote. How do we get over that fear? Well, just by saying, it's going to sound, again, pretty simple. Just jump, in my opinion, again, this is based on my experience. Some people might tell you otherwise. Just jumping in and doing it. The best way that you can learn from, fear and all that good stuff, or quote unquote bad stuff, is hopping in and, believe it or not, failing. And again, I know that's probably going to sound crazy. Like, what do you mean? How am I going to get over fear by failing? Well, because if you're fearful of failing, which is what most people are when it comes to fear in general, like we were talking about back towards the beginning of the stream, most people are just fearful of failing at the end of the day. So if you just realize that, hey, failure is part of learning at the end of the day, and by the way, most of the failures you get to write off, so hey, if nothing else, it decreases your tax bill a little bit. I go into everything just thinking with the mindset of, again, I may be ignorant in this subject, but, if I don't act on this right now, then I'm always going to be ignorant on this subject. Again, going back to the door-to-door example, I don't have like any experience hardly in door-to-door. So how can I get over the uncertainty, the fear, etc., of hopping into the door-to-door space for our business when I know that there's a good chance that this could help take us to another level? You just hop right in, you go with the flow. Now, I'm not saying go with, in that example, like don't go with the first company, don't be stupid, reckless. Again, get the most knowledge you can, show a little bit of proof of concept, blah, 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 you know what I'm saying? But at some point, you just got to take the leap. You can't get paralysis by analysis and just end up never doing anything. Otherwise, you're going to remain fearful, and you're ultimately hopping off of, the whole fearful thing. You're scared of the failure. You're scared of the unknown. And that's pretty much the message for today. I know it's actually been a little bit longer, and I think one of you all commented something as well. Let me double check here. And Aaron asked something too. I saw you got two here, Aaron. I have no experience in a pest control company. I'm totally self-taught from my property management job. I've successfully exterminated German roaches. Awesome. Yeah, that's a great start. What bait do you use for mice? Do you change baits? Do you ever experience bait? Oh, hell yeah, dude. Yeah. No, yeah, I do mice like baiting too. Exclusion is the best method if possible. Of course, it's not always possible. At least probably 30 to 50% of the time. We use a couple different baits. The two that we're using primarily are Generation Mini Blocks. It tends to work great on rats specifically, and then we tend to use Contract all-weather blocks, I believe is what they're called. They're like a blue color, slightly bigger block, about a 2-inch roughly size block, and those tend to work really good on mice is what I've noticed. Not to say that it doesn't work on rats, I just find that rats tend to take better to Generation Mini Blocks. And then sometimes even if we're dealing with a little tricky rat, not an alpha rat, but just a rat that may be tricky, we'll set a rat trap in that station, because the stations we get Easy Clean, they have a setup where you can actually set up like a Jaws trap in there, and we've had some success with that as well. So hopefully that answers that question. But yeah, no, I know this one has been a little bit longer in terms, because we did a stream and all that good stuff, and I actually have to be getting to my first stop here in a little bit. It's already almost 8:30 here in Dallas, Texas. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this stream. Like I said, the main thing is getting over fear, and getting over the fear of what? Specifically, getting over the fear of failing. Because without failure, there is no learning. The best lessons that I've ever learned that have ultimately, oddly enough, taken us and me to the next level has always been through fear. Through learning through failure. I'll try, for example, the website is a great example. I'll try some stuff with the website, SEO, whatever the case may be. I'll give it some time. If it's not working, okay, what happened? Why didn't it work? Did I do something wrong? Look up on the internet or YouTube, whatever the case may be, what happened? And you just learn from there. The best way that you can learn ultimately is failure, and that's the biggest injustice that I think like our education system, at least here in the US, has done, is it teaches us from a very early stage of life that you don't want to fail. How do we grade in terms of obviously you want to show proficiency, but is standardized testing and all that stuff the best way? Probably not. Let's be real. When it comes to like real world application, standardized testing and all that stuff that we're doing, it's a total waste of time, resources, taxpayer dollars. And I feel that they kind of fail the kids from that perspective in terms of you're teaching the fear of failure from a very young age. If you're scared to fail, it's like I compare it to, it's gonna sound like a crazy comparison, but I compare it to like being with an abusive spouse or an abusive parent, or just somebody in general that's in your life that's abusive every single day. Like if you get from an early stage of life, you're just used to that every single day, then you think that that's kind of just the norm, and you don't see any. That's why, like, it's always kind of bad, in my opinion, when people are like, oh, they should have got out of that situation. Like, it's not always black and white like that, obviously, but that's a whole different subject. Point being, when we're teaching kids from a super young age, literally like as early as first, second, third grade, early elementary, that, hey, we're prepping you for only one answer specifically, and if you don't get this right answer, then boom, you fail. Like, how do you think that is psychologically going to be affecting the youth as they grow into adults? They're never going to want to take chances because, hey, what if I fail? What if I fail? I can't fail. Like, oh my gosh, like it develops like a fear and anxiety of failure when, like I said, when it comes to business, and not even just business really, life as in general, I tend to learn the best lessons in life and in business and the pest control business from experimenting and more so failing. Is it awesome whenever you try something and boom, it works right away? Hell yeah, I mean, it's awesome, but it's more so a short term, like, what's it called, like an endorphin rush or whatever. Like, you get that little short term high, like, oh, that's awesome, I got it. But what feels better? Whenever, like, you've been working at something super, super hard, you failed a couple times, and then finally, boom, like, you just get it, and it just, works tremendously. Like, there's no better feeling than that, because you've overcome the fear, you've overcome the failure, and, now you've unlocked a new skill or unlocked a new level in your business, whatever the case may be. So, like I said, hopefully you guys did enjoy this stream. I think we might have had one more comment, one or two more. Said thanks, cool, yeah. And William said totally agree. Failure is the best way to learn. Also, don't give fear any time. To get worse. Yeah, no, exactly. That's why, like, I think I was saying it back towards the beginning of the stream. In my opinion, the moment you start to feel some kind of fear about something, just jump in and start doing something. Like, it doesn't matter if, you're just starting to, like I said a little bit ago, if you're ignorant, if you're fearful because you're ignorant on a subject, hop in and start learning about the subject. Like, the worst that you can do is not try and not do anything and let that fear, like, shoot, I forgot your name. Is it William? Yeah. Like William said, the worst thing you can do is give that fear time to get worse. It's like, for example, you have a customer who is pissed off about something. Worst thing you can do is avoid them. Like, why would you avoid? I mean, even me, like, I get caught up doing this from time to time. I'll be like, shit, I don't want to deal with that right now. But when do you feel best? When you just go ahead, again, confront the beast, confront the customer head on, and you feel much better. A lot of times the fear that we have is so blown out of proportion, and the longer you let that fear, kind of sit there and just manifest, it can literally just, drive you insane, and like we said, harm your mind, your body because of the stress. Like, just, it's not worth it at the end of the day. But yeah, on that note, like I said, I gotta be getting to my first stop here within the next half hour roughly. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the stream. If this is the first time you came across the channel or anything, feel free. We have a whole series on this type of subject in terms of just things that I wish I knew when I started my pest control business back in 2020. We have 6 videos now, if you include this one, in that series, and then we have a bunch of other videos about the pest control industry and just me, walking you all through my journey. If you like the stream, hit that thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down. And like I said, if you're new and you're either seeing this live or seeing it after it goes live and you want more info or have any questions, subscribe, hit the bell icon, comment down below whatever questions you may have once the stream, uploads to a video. And other than that, I will have one more video for you all on this series tomorrow, and then we'll start that series back up probably on Sunday or Monday, because of course we'll do a live stream this weekend for you guys. So if you have any questions, either shout it out in the comments like I mentioned, or join our Discord or Facebook group Both links are down in the description and totally free to join. But until next time, guys, keep on going out there making your money, invest your money in achieving the financial freedom you and your family deserve. And I will see you guys in tomorrow's video, or who knows, maybe we'll do it as a stream again. Take it easy, everybody.